everybody. Welcome back to the Matthew Shiner podcast. It is Monday. It is Columbus Day. For those of you watching as this video comes out, I always record these videos the day before. They go up and they're scheduled to come out at midnight. So like the morning of. So they're ready all day. I can watch them whenever. So anyways, and I edit them too. So before they come out, I edit them and add in the beginning and ending, and if there's any parts that I need to like add in photos or edit stuff, I do that. But this video, we're recording back using the screen recorder here, so I can actually just control it for one window. So you're looking right here at a Chrome tab window. I've got open here, and then this is a post I saw, and I really wanted to just highlight something. So this is someone quoting Pope Leo. Amid pressures and tactics on the part of some for the Pope to overturn Traditionis Custodes, or at least loosen the motu proprio's restrictions, a notable line from Leo's homily is telling: some forms of worship do not foster communion with others and can numb our hearts. And I want you to notice this. A notable line from his homily is telling. He's not talking in his homily about Traditionis Custodes in particular. And then, so someone here posted this, not looking good for treading. Leo just said the TLM numbs our hearts. Again, never said this. He basically committed sacrilege, didn't, against the Latin rite of the church, didn't, calling it an incentive to impiety, thus calling down the anathema of Trent on himself. Again, he didn't. Someone is putting, I'm saying he's putting, this original post here is kind of putting words into the Pope's mouth. He's not talking about anything in regards to the TLM. This is a problem we have with people and the Pope. They just see everything the Pope says coming out of his mouth as dealing only with them and only with the issues of their country. And this is something we see especially with American Catholics, that they just see anything the Pope talks about as being an insult to them, or being directed to them, or being directed to American issues, American problems, whatever. And Classical Theist here said the same thing. There's absolutely zero evidence that Leo was talking about a liturgical rite, let alone the TLM. Again. And so someone here comments, maybe he's talking about Protestants' false worship, which, very well, he is talking about false worship. And again here, this line here, he's quoting the Pope in his homily. He's nothing at all is this talking about the TLM, the Novus Ordo, nothing. It is just regarding worship is a generality, as the worship of others. We as Catholics believe the Mass alone, is the highest form of worship we can give to God. And if you want more talking about worship, I'd recommend Trent Horn has a couple of videos that he talks about Mary, the honoring of Mary, and how the term worship comes from the Old English worthship, meaning giving someone their worth. So some places they still have mayors that are called your worship because of the granted title that these people deserve something. They get their worthship, and that's the same for the saints and all that. So, but just regardless, I wanted to talk about Dilexi Te, and in particular, I want to point out this. Pope Leo, in his encyclical, only mentions migrants. And there is a difference between migrants and immigrants. Now, Pope Leo I think he made some remark about the United States. And regardless, I completely agree with a lot of what Pope Leo was saying. We have to remember, the church is what needs to form our opinion, not our political parties. If we allow our political parties to form our opinion, we've got a problem. We've got a problem. You're not truly a Christian. You're not truly a Catholic if you are allowing a political party, a political person to form your opinion rather than the church. But I want to point out that Pope Leo's document is talking about migrants rather than immigrants. And migrants are different than immigrants. Migrants tend to be people who are only going to a certain place for a certain limited amount of time. They might be going to escape political violence, or they might be going to escape a certain issue, but their goal is not to stay there. Immigrant is someone who goes to a new land to seek new opportunities, whereas a migrant is someone who is only there in a place temporarily. to live there for work or whatever, just for a better opportunity, but not necessarily to stay there. So, but again, this whole thing with migrants is applicable. Migrants deserve an extra amount of care because they are only there for a certain amount of time, because they are there in regards to an issue that is going on. Whereas immigrants are trying to become a part of a culture, they're trying to move into a new country, they're trying to become a part of a different society. Whereas a migrant is kind of there, they will assimilate into the culture a little, but their job is mainly I'm here for a little while just until I can find a better time, a better place. Which would go with what Pope Leo was talking about here. The experience of migration accompanies the history of the people of God. Abraham sets out without not knowing where he is going. Moses leads the pilgrim people through the desert. Mary and Joseph flee with the child Jesus to Egypt. All these cases, Abraham is wandering around the desert. He doesn't have a place that he's just necessarily stopping at. He goes all around. He is going from one place to another and not permanently staying in one place. Moses is going from place to place. Moses will never touch the Holy Land. Moses is leading the people to the Holy Land and they're stopping. They are migrants on their way to the final place where they want to go. And Mary and Joseph are migrants in Egypt. Now, technically, the political status of Egypt is more like they're going from Roman Israel to Roman Egypt. So it's kind of like me going from Illinois to Indiana or to Ohio, right? I'm going from one place in the United States to another place in the United States. That's kind of what it's like. Jesus is not going from modern day Israel to modern day Egypt. He's going from one Roman province to another Roman province. But again, the point being, these people are not immigrants. They're not moving from Israel to Egypt. They're fleeing from political violence in Israel under King Herod to relative safety where God leads them in Egypt. So, again, this is not immigration. Christ himself, who came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him, lived among us as a stranger. For this reason, the church has always recognized in migrants a living presence of the Lord, who, on the day of judgment, will say to those on his right, I was a stranger, and he welcomed me. So, regardless, we must understand that whether we are talking about migrants, immigrants, or even the people who are born and raised in a nation, they deserve to have rights in the country. They deserve human rights. They deserve human dignity. So regardless of what you want to say, all people deserve certain cares and respects. So I mentioned this on Anything Can Happen Friday, but I don't necessarily agree 100% with all of what Donald Trump is doing, but in the case of what he's doing with deportation, while it might not necessarily be executed 100% correctly, what he is doing with deporting illegal immigrants, people who are undocumented, because the Pope, when he was down in Peru, helped immigrants to get documentation, to assimilate, to find jobs. He did all this to allow people to become citizens, right? So an immigrant is someone who wants to become a citizen, whereas a migrant does not necessarily is going to become a citizen, but they are trying to escape, like Jesus, escape violence. So that's just what I wanted to kind of bring up. Where was I? So, regardless, I think that there is certain, and a lot of other Catholics will agree, and a lot of bishops and the church themselves will agree that there is a certain right to which a country has to limit immigration and to control immigration and to enforce immigration. Bishop Paprocki did a video on this. Let me pull it up here. I've got like 5 million different Chrome windows open here. So I've got like a whole other tab open here for the next video that I'm doing. But the video that he did regarding the declined award of Senator Dick Durbin, because he did decline the award. I apologize now that I'm bringing when I swipe up because I'm trying to switch to tabs. So, but this video here, I'll leave a link to it down in the description. The Lessons of Declined Award. And he mentions within this video about immigration, about this thing. It's part of it. I saw part of it, and he mentions immigration and how countries and nations have a right to control their borders. And so I agree now with this and with the detention centers and all this. There is to be a certain respect given to these people. They should be given food. They should be given water. They should be given necessities. They should be given. They should be treated with dignity, care, and respect. They shouldn't just be herded like cattle from one place to another and then just let to get off. I agree kind of with this deportation in the sense of if you want to come here legally, you should come here legally. I am not against immigration. My great grandparents were immigrants, and I respect immigrants, and I think that we need great and strong immigrants, people who are willing to assimilate into culture. I like this line that he quotes from Pope Francis. Pope Francis has recalled the Church's mission to migrants and refugees is even broader, insisting that our response to the challenges posed by contemporary migration can be summed up in 4 verbs. Welcome, protect, promote, and integrate. And integrate is one of the biggest things. Integrate. Become a part of the culture that you are moving to, and become... it's a big thing in American culture, immigrants and all this, with regards to the melting pot. There's the song from Schoolhouse Rock that America is the melting pot. It's the place where cultures come together. But America ultimately, too, has a culture. It has a society. It has a language. And so coming to America is learning this culture, is keeping culture too, keeping the culture of where you come from. That's not what we're not trying to say that you can't have that, but also learning the language, learning history. So yet these verbs not only apply to migrants and refugees, they describe the Church's mission to all those living in existential peripheries who need to be welcomed, protected, promoted, and integrated. And this part is important too. Every human being is a child of God. He or she bears the image of Christ. We ourselves, need to see and then to enable others to see that migrants and refugees do not only present a problem to be solved, but are brothers and sisters to be welcomed, respected, and loved. They are occasion that Providence gives us to build a more just society, a more perfect democracy, and a more united country, a more fraternal world, and a more open and evangelical Christian community. Basically, the same thing I was saying. Respect, care. We can talk about how a person is created in the image of God, but we can also just sum it up, that people deserve dignity. That this is the same thing that secular governments agree on, and that our government can agree on. And above all, we can agree on what are the principles, if we're Americans, what are the principles that Thomas Jefferson wrote of. The pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are the 3 fundamental rights that man has. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is while it's not necessarily a Catholic philosophy, it is an American philosophy that we as a country built ourselves upon. And she knows that in every rejected migrant, it is Christ himself who knocks at the door of the community. This is not, again, the Pope never says this is in regards to the United States. If he truly saw that there is an evil going on in America of this magnitude, I think that he would write to he's talked to the American bishops, and he said this. So he is not, if he truly had something to say, he'd be direct, as he has been direct to the United States bishops already on certain policies of Trump. But again, the Pope isn't saying that we can't, that um he's not, I wouldn't say he's necessarily against Trump and saying you can't have mass deportation, because he said other things before on immigration as a cardinal, and he helped migrants in Peru to become integrated into society, to get documentation, to learn the language, to get jobs. So let's look at what the Pope has done, and let's look at what he's going through and doing. So that's kind of my opinion on this. Again, this is really my opinion and what I see. So if you agree on this, that's great. Otherwise, just again, the Pope is someone who, again, we can't just we have to form our opinion partially on what he says. We can't just have an opinion based solely on what our government says. We can't form our opinion on what a political leader says, because now we're turning the political leader into our religion, into our moral guides, rather than the church Christ established. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Doing so helps us to spread this Catholic and Christian message to all. Please also consider supporting this channel on Patreon.